Hi, it's Isabel, A Curious Tale. Thanks to everyone who watched my video I made introducing the Purnima Tarot, which I have my copy of here. I thought after just doing a little brief introduction to the deck, I wanted to play around with some card pairings because I really love mixing together different tarot decks and oracle decks when I do readings, and I know that's something a lot of the tarot community on YouTube really likes to do. So I thought it would be fun to play around with the Purnima Tarot and just show the decks I think it would pair really well with, and then I'd love to hear if anyone watching has any recommendations, because I'm a tarot collector, so I do love to amass a library of decks, and maybe I might have some of those decks, I can try them out. Or if you have the Purnima Tarot yourself, I'd love to hear if you've tried it out with any other decks. So I'm currently surrounded by some decks. Let me show you. When I pair decks, I often like to, they don't have to be the same, but I have this idea that they would exist in the same world. And it's almost like by pairing different decks together, you're fleshing out this world that you're creating, that you're entering into when you do the tarot reading. So I like to pair together decks that might have a similar colour scheme. They don't necessarily have to have same imagery or be based in the same pantheon if it's gods and goddesses, or they don't have to be part of the same spiritual tradition, but I think it's nice if the colours either contrast in an aesthetically pleasing way or they sort of have a similar colour scheme. So because the Purnima Tarot is very bright, it's very high contrast as a deck. Just show a few pictures that you can see when I edited the photos, really increased the contrast because I wanted to showcase how these images look to me, but you can see lots of bright colours, high contrast, deep shadows. So in my mind I'm thinking I want to try it with decks that mix with those colour schemes, and also because the deck is based in Kathmandu, Nepal, there's a lot of Hindu symbolism, Buddhist symbolism, and decks that exist in that world I also think will go really well with the deck, but not exclusively. So I'm just going to share a few of the decks. Went a bit wild, I might have to cut this down. A few of the decks that I was initially thinking to try it out with, and then I'll switch to playing around. Sorry. So I'll start with some sort of obvious choices. I say obvious because they're more they're in the same realm in terms of spirituality, I guess. They're a similar tradition, I should say. So here, I'll probably move these because it's just in a forest of decks right now. So this is actually a deck I picked up recently when I was in Kathmandu, and interestingly, I hadn't seen it in the UK, but interestingly, Nova Mundi Tarot, she recently included this deck in her Mass Market Gems video. I really like her channel and it's a great video, and yeah, so I'll share this deck with you. I don't have the box because when I got it, the box was damaged and I was travelling, so I just thought leave the box, and I have this beautiful Tibetan satin case for it, which is a large version of the case that the Purnima Tarot comes in. So this one is the Yogini Oracle, published in India. I got this in Pilgrim's Bookshop in Tamil in Kathmandu, if you're based there, but Nova Mundi Tarot did mention that you can get it online in Europe and the US. So you can see beautiful, bright colours, and the stunning yoginis. It's a really great deck, and I don't want to sort of reduce tarot pairings to aesthetics only. It's definitely not about that. It's about what decks will enrich the reading, what will give you new insights, not just what looks good. But I think sometimes that can be a good jumping off point, and to me, the more sort of believable and immersive the world is I'm creating with my reading, the deeper insights I feel I'm going to get. So it might seem shallow to start off with, you know, aesthetics, but for me it's about building that world that you're going to enter into, and then have, you know, have your insights. And so that's the Yogini's Oracle, and I think that's going to pair really well with the deck. And then another deck I picked up when I was in Kathmandu, Nepal recently. I don't know if this is available, it probably is, but this is the Celestial Gallery Meditation deck with art by Romeo Shrestha, and this is stunning. It's only got 24 cards, and they're sort of, I'm not sure if it's really advertised as an oracle deck, it's advertised more as a meditation deck. So the idea is that you can put these cards on the stand it comes with on your altar and meditate with them. But this is absolutely stunning artwork featuring mainly tantric Buddhist deities. Very stunning. So again, very much part of the same world and a similar colour scheme, so I think that will pair really well. And then moving in a bit of a different direction. Another deck that would be in the same world would be Alana Fairchild's Kali Oracle, because there's a depiction of Kali in the Purnima Tarot. And this deck, again, it's a similar world. I would just mention, I really like this oracle, but the depictions of the goddess are very realistic compared to a lot of traditional art. And while I think it looks really beautiful and I think it really works for the deck, it's just a point that some people from this cultural and religious tradition feel it can be offensive to depict gods and goddesses in a very human way. So I'm not saying that it is or it isn't, it's just that that's a belief that does exist amongst some people. So I really like this deck, I really enjoy it, but I think, you know, when I would use it, that's something I might be mindful of, because just being aware that not everyone finds these very realistic depictions of the goddess to be positive, but I can totally see why they chose that artwork. I think it's beautiful. That's just something I would bear in mind. I wouldn't necessarily use that everywhere and for everyone. And then, now I'll finally go in a different direction, or will I? We'll see. We've got the Marielle Tarot. This is one of my absolute favourite decks, edged in purple, as I like to edge a lot of my decks. And yeah, again, we can see like the colours. Let's just choose, I don't know, the full keeps coming up, 2 random cards. We can see, I think the colours are quite complementary, the bright saturated colours, and I like the contrast where the Purnima Tarot has a lot of esoteric symbols, but it also has a lot of everyday depictions. The Marielle Tarot is very much, you know, it's very esoteric, it's very much what's going on a spiritual level, in my experience. Yeah, one of my absolute favourite decks. I want to show you, this is the case I made with it, with a vintage bead featuring Hanuman. So that's something I want to try. And then, so I'm not taking forever, I'll just kind of speed it up. I want to try the Call of the Moroccan Oracle with art by Naomi Cornock, because yeah, I love this oracle. I love her Old Ways Magic Oracle deck as well. And again, those very saturated colours. Of course, it's a different spiritual tradition, but I'd like to play around with contrasting that. And then in a sort of similar vein, I've got the Tarot of the She. This is one of the tarot decks that really surprised me, just by how much I connect with it. And it's such a stunning deck. And again, actually, when I was doing the order of the suits for the Purnima Tarot, I was inspired by the Tarot of the She, the order for the suits, because I thought the explanation there was just made so much sense to me, and I really enjoy it, with the idea with starting with air, the idea that comes into your mind, moving into, you know, fire, that's the will to act upon the idea, moving into water, that's the womb, the gestation period of the idea, and then moving into earth element, that's taking steps in the real world to bring your idea to life. We've got Heart of Fairy Oracle by Brian Froud, slightly more saturated and colourful images of fairies compared to his Fairies Oracle, so I think that will go. Then here I've got the Tantric Dakini Oracle, again beautiful collage deck, very much a similar world to the Purnima Tarot. And then we've got, the Sacred Hags Oracle is another deck that surprised me with absolutely how much I love it. And yeah, bright colours, beautiful messages, edged in purple like most of my decks. I'm gonna enjoy playing around with that one. Let's see, another one, this is Oracle of the Hecate Path. I'll pop that over there. That's just an Oracle deck I really love. We've got the Witches Tarot by Burning Paper Hearts. Love this deck, and also because it's photo deck as well. Again, this is a pairing that this would be more of a personal use, just because this deck does have some images that may be being paired with the more traditional images in my deck. I think that's just something you might I'd explore personally, because some people could take that one way or the other, and I would understand. So again, that would be like a personal practice pairing. And then Oracle of the Witch, lovely contrast with the black and white images there. Ritual Tarot by Tierra May. Yeah, I think that is quite an obvious choice. Similar imagery, beautiful bright colours. Then we've got, and Cave of Sybil Oracle by Tierra May as well. Definite pairing. Then I've got this Klimt Tarot, which I really love. Beautiful golds and yeah, featuring the artwork of Gustav Klimt. I think that will be an interesting pairing. Witch Sister Tarot, again a different landscape, very different. This would be more of a contrasting deck, but I just love the deck so much, and I feel like it will pair quite well. And then we've got the the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Let's see if I can find one. Some of the depictions of these goddesses, they're from different traditions, different countries. So I think that will really pair well as well, and it's a beautiful deck. Again, I edged it in purple, unsurprisingly. Then we've got the Sleep Forever Tarot, which is basically, I think that's what it's called, I got it a long time ago. Features Blythe dolls, which I do collect, and it's basically the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, but with these Blythe dolls as, the main characters, I guess you could say, in the cards. And I love the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but I basically never use it, because I always use this deck because I love it so much for just real clear messages with added sense of whimsy. And yeah, whatever it says to you, how could you be mad? Because these dolls are just so wonderful, and I don't think it takes away from how meaningful it is either. Then Goddess of Love Tarot, another very bright, vibrant deck with lots of goddesses from different traditions. The Aquarian Tarot, I think, will be good as well. This is a sort of more muted colour scheme, but that will work. And then I've got this tarot deck I got ages ago on Etsy. So I don't know if it's still made, but this is called the Gypsy Palace deck. I mean, I know that name is a bit controversial now. I don't know if the name's been changed or if it's still called that. I don't know, maybe that's the creator's heritage might be tied to that. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I got it about maybe 13-14 years ago, and so I'm not really sure on when I got it. I think it might have been the creator Kellyanne Maddox that had it. It could have been, I could be making that up, but I really enjoy her content, and I think could be, or it was someone who I watched on YouTube at the time recommended it and I got it, so I didn't know a lot about the creator. But yeah, this deck has stunning saturated artwork. I think the cards, because they're quite old, they've got this sort of white sheen on them. I'm not really sure what that is, but it's a well-loved deck. So yeah, I think these beautiful colours will go well with the deck, and also the imagery. It's quite thoughtful. It's quite almost could be confronting. So a lot of the figures are very expressive, so I think that will be a nice contrast with the deck. And then that's pretty much it for now before I just bring out hundreds of decks. Yeah, so these are some of my thoughts on decks that would go well with the Purnima Tarot, and I'll just show you now, like me playing around with some of them. But again, please do let me know if you have any ideas for decks you think would go well. So yeah, let's have a play. So for my first set of pairings, I wanted to do quite a few, and here's the Purnima Tarot, Goddess of Love Tarot, the Yogini's Oracle, Celestial Meditation Deck, Tantric Dakini Oracle, and Kali Oracle. So I'm just going to flick through some of the cards and just show how they look together, just to give an idea of what might come through if you're doing a reading. Now, if I was doing a reading, I might use this many decks if I was doing a very big reading with a lot of cards, very in-depth. I wouldn't for, you know, a daily draw or something. Or I might use this many decks if I'm setting an intention and bringing in all this energy for the certain intention I want to set. So first we just see some of these decks I've put back in order, some I haven't, so we'll just have a look. This is how your spread might look if you're using these decks together. I love these colours together. This as well. And that's another element, you know, when you mix decks together. Are there certain colours that show up across cards? Are there contrasting colours? Are there symbols that are coming up across multiple cards or not? Like with the red here. So yeah, basically just playing around, flipping through and having a look just to get an idea. If I'm doing a reading, would I want to be mixing these decks together? What does that look like? These two together, interesting. again with the flame. I feel like all of these decks are quite fiery. Like this interesting together. And then here we've got Three of Matter, which is Earth Element Pentacles. It was nighttime, and we were walking through Pattern, which is an area of Lalitpur, and there's a lot of art studios there doing traditional art. So it was really late, and there was just this little bit of light illuminating a canvas that an artist been working on, with their tools set up, showing how they're mastering the trade. And then here we have an image showing the chakras and different energy centers and their meanings. And this is the kind of image that you might see a painting of for sale in Patan, so that's interesting. Oh, and this card in the Tantric Dakini Oracle is a really interesting card because it shows the Kumari. She is the living goddess. There are several Kumari in the Kathmandu Valley, and you can see, not sure if I'll be able to show this because this is my first time, but basically she has this design on her forehead showing her third eye, and the back of the Purnima Tarot, the cards which BJ designed, this is what she has on her forehead, showing the third eye. So yeah, I think I've got quite a good idea of how these decks look together. I just thought it would be better to show them all at once as opposed to doing just the Purnima Tarot with one deck, because that would take a very long time. And I really like just how opulent and maximalist this looks when you see them all together. So yeah, this is round one, let's say, and then I'll try with another selection of decks. So for this set of pairings, we've got Sacred Hags Oracle, Gypsy Palace Tarot, Sleep Forever Tarot, and Mariel Tarot. And for this, I'm thinking bright, saturated colours, expression, and just eclectic inspiration. So just go through some of these and see how it looks. Certainly very vibrant. A lot of them do have, a lot of tarot decks have nature inspired imagery, so that's always interesting. Got the blues. Yeah, I quite like how these look together. Again, I might not use them together at the same time, but I think that's really interesting. Let me know what you think. Is this is this something that's jarring to you? Is this something that works well? Love to hear. Look at those orange, real orange colours together. That's interesting. And I think when you see all these different decks together, certain colours can sort of pop out more because you see them repeated across cards, which could happen, you know, if you're using the same tarot deck with multiple cards. But somehow, to me, it's always more pronounced when I'm using different decks. I just tend to notice reoccurring colours more because you're not thinking, well, that's the colour scheme of the deck necessarily. You're thinking, oh, that's, you know, that's an important colour that's coming up, at least for me. So, and then you can, you know, there's so much you can go into with colour symbolism, and then there's always going to be traditional meanings which vary across cultures. For example, you know, in somewhere like the UK, black would be considered a colour of mourning, white would be considered a colour of a bride, but in Nepal, white would be what you wear in a time of mourning for many cultures, not just in Nepal, in many different cultures. So there's sort of that opposite. So there's always going to be what it means, what the colours mean, where the culture that you grew up in, other cultures as well. There's just so much to think about with these different colours. Again, these bright oranges, and then what the figures are doing. Are the figures all moving? Are they all static? You know, what might that mean? So yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this combination. I think now let's try something maybe similar in terms of eclecticism, but some different decks. So here we've got Purnima Tarot, Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, Klimt Tarot, Cave of Sybil Oracle, and Ritual Tarot, and Witches Tarot. And the Ritual Tarot I edged in purple. I think it looks really beautiful with purple edging. And then the Cave of Sybil Oracle I edged in black, matching my Purnima Tarot, all of which I've hand edged, and I'll be doing some of that after I make this video. So I'll try and maybe be a little more succinct, but it's just so fun to flick through and see how they look together. I feel like this this little selection is quite dreamlike, going into the subconscious, and just, you know, when you have a dream and then you see all these different messages that just might not even look like they make sense, but when you start to look into it more, you can get some really interesting messages. That's sort of what I'm getting from this pairing. It's a little bit overwhelming, but in a way that I'm enjoying. I really like the Ace of Lamps with the Nine of Wands, which is what the Suit of Lamps corresponds to. I like those two together. That's pretty interesting. And then how the swords really stand out somehow when they're in different decks. Really enjoy the Witches Tarot with the Cave of Sybil Oracle especially as well. I think they go really well together. The trees reflected. Ah, interesting. So that's one, or another I should say, another pairing. For my final set of pairings today, I've got Tarot of the She, Witch Sister Tarot, Heart of Fairy Oracle, Oracle of the Morrigan, and the Purnima Tarot. So, and what I just wanted to mention with the Call of the Morrigan Oracle and the Tarot of the She is that a lot of sort of Celtic or Fae decks tend to have more of a muted colour scheme, which I really love. I love the classic, you know, green, brown and gold colour schemes that we typically see. But I feel like by including these more vibrant colours, we can sort of see that world in a different way. And I love then pairing that with other decks, and I feel like it sort of opens up more possibilities for what you might think to pair the decks with, which I think is interesting. I mean, so this is interesting because they're different. Definitely, you know, these all sort of exist in the same world. You can imagine you're somewhere in the UK, this is the forest, this is on the heath, the more barren landscape. This is maybe slightly more celestial, the elementals, they're all in sort of a believable world together to me. And then you've got the Purnima Tarot, which is a little different, but I feel like the colours go together, and the idea of the Fae is not, you know, limited really to any culture. I don't know if I couldn't say every culture has their own elemental beings or Fae, but I haven't to this date encountered one that doesn't. In Nepal, we obviously have fairies. They're called pari. There is one kind, or you have sort of local spirits that are gods or goddesses, but sort of in a local way. They're not quite the same as the main gods and goddesses, or things like Nag, the serpent spirit. They are sort of local gods and goddesses as well. I feel like some of these cards kind of work together more seamlessly than others for sure, but I am enjoying this pairing nonetheless. It's funny how different these images are, and yet how there is a reflection in some of the colours with these as well. Also, how some of the depictions in the Call of the Morrigan Oracle, we see like blue skin, which is also, you know, a classic trait of goddess Kali. She often is depicted with either blue or black skin. And it's just a jumping off point for thinking about things. You know, you never want to reduce cultures by saying, oh, they're the same or these are similar, but I think you can contemplate, you know, similarities that you see within them. Is that, you know, alluding to something in the subconscious of humanity that we share, or maybe they have different meanings. Maybe it's just a good, for me it's always an interesting starting point for a conversation, like very open-ended, you know. And this is funny because this is a scooter helmet that's been put on the skull mask of Sitpati at her friend's tattoo studio, Tattoo Junction in Kathmandu, and then she's got this sort of fabric over her head. So again, it's very different, but interesting. And again, tattoos, which are part of many different cultures in Nepal. Also, many people link them as part of Celtic culture or ancient British culture as well. I mean, most ancient cultures seem to have, or many of them seem to have, traditional tattoo practices, which is something I always find interesting. But again, it's just another link you could see. Oh, I like these two cards together especially. So yeah, that's another maybe more of a wild card pairing, but interesting. Definitely something I'll be trying out more of. Right, so that was, I think, the final one I'll do. Otherwise, I mean, I could play all day. And what this is really making me think is that when I see the decks that I've edged and the decks I haven't edged yet, all I can think of is that I really, really want to edge them. I think that happens to most people who start, you know, personalizing their decks, edging them, or making bags for them. It's pretty addictive. And very enjoyable. So I think I'll edge some more of the Purnima Tarot in black because I have some orders I need to get ready, and then I might have to do some others as well. Oh, I did I show I did the Heart of Fairy Oracle. I edged her in purple as well, so, and Tarot of the She. I feel like the Call of the Morrigan Oracle would also look amazing in purple, but that's probably just because that's the colour I either love to edge them in black or in purple. I just think it looks so beautiful. So yeah, that's my pairings for today. If you'd like to order a copy of the Purnima Tarot, get in touch with me on Instagram at A Curious Tale. And if you have any questions about the deck, or if you have any recommendations, thanks.